Hello and welcome back to the It's Only Kids Football podcast, a show where we tackle the grassroots game from the sidelines and beyond. On this week's episode, we're breaking down the action from El Chavico and our big clash with Lead Ramblers Blue before taking a left turn no one would have seen coming. Lessons on Stoicism and the reality of dealing with a child's injury. We also recap the boys' experience taking on Tottenham with Ballers Elite, as well as discussing the shift in parenting dynamics between your eldest and your youngest. And as always, we dive into your listener questions. As always, my assistant manager and co-host Mike Clark is here to join me. Let's get into it. Mike, we have to start with a formal apology to one of our big sponsors.
Key sponsors.
Yes.
Yeah.
We want deeply apologise. I'll let you take it from here.
To the Tilly crew, because we went through all of the effort of making a sponsorship that would go on my neck. And then we put the wrong name in the caption.
I would like to say that, I don't want our sponsors to be offended, but it's mental that there are two companies, both with a Joe and a Jack. So the same initials, a Joe Tilly, a Jack Tilly, both do roofing. How was I meant to know that they didn't work together?
And they're brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of them does pitched, one of them does flat.
Yeah,
Pretty simple. Roofing game.
If you need your roofing sorted, Jack and Joe Tilly can help you out depending on what your problem is. Have you got the advertising thing for your neck today?
I don't actually. Forgot to bring it. So next week we will do another formal apology. But is this what I do, Alex? Yeah. Click down below.
Oh, this is definitely the worst commercial partnership we've ever struck. But for more amazing banter like this, please go and subscribe to our YouTube channel at IOK Football. Well, what is it, Mike?
At IOK Football.
Boom, there you go. Go over to YouTube, subscribe, and see plenty more of this elite level banter. And there's one thing I want to announce to the audience, send that there to the audience before we move on, is if you're looking for a gear refresh, we've teamed up with discountfootballkits.com to bring you an exclusive offer. Spend £100 or more on anything from kits, rain jackets, coaching equipment, footballs, anything you need. Use the code IOKFFD, that's IOKFFD, at checkout to get free delivery straight to your door. And you have until midnight on the 31st of March to achieve this offer. So click the link in the show notes and use the code IOKFFD to claim your savings today at discountfootballkits.com. And now, Grassroots Heroes got off to a great start. We've had two coaches. We love that. We've had some other nominations. We want more. Send your nominations for the Go Cardless Grassroots Hero to the... Where do they send it?
Our email address? It's Only Kids Football Podcast at gmail.com.
Bosh! There you go. It's Only Kids Football Podcast at gmail.com. We want your grassroots heroes. These are the people that it could be people involved with the club. It could be kids that have had an amazing, they've gone through a difficult period and then they score a goal and they have this really amazing moment. Anything. We want people that are playing at grassroots, adults or children, whether they're playing, involved in the club, anything that deserve a shout out. And this week, we have got someone who makes a real difference at grassroots level, and his name is Ben Curtis. He is manager of Watford Town under-7s. 6 months ago, Danny Blake's son wouldn't move on the pitch. He'd completely freeze, and then thanks to Ben giving up his own time for one-to-one training free of charge, that is now a distant memory. Danny's boy is full of confidence and absolutely smashing it every week. And it's not just him. 3 or 4 new lads have come on massively through Ben's work with belief and energy. He's a top bloke. He's built a proper family team environment for these under-7s. I absolutely love that.
So good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Under-7s as well. They're so young. And I don't know, but I'm assuming that that's his first coaching gig potentially. And, fair play to you. Anyone that puts their hands up to coach, and even if he isn't and he's like a proper coach, he's done this before, to put you're giving up so much of your own time and to go above and beyond with a kid that is in need. I mean, phenomenal. And we just know that there's hundreds, thousands of these stories, thousands of these people out there. Make sure you're sending it in. I feel like it's the minimum you can do, right? If there is a hero in and amongst your club, make sure you're shouting them out. If they don't make it as the Grassroots Hero this month, it's still great to get these stories, and we can always try and give them a shout out at some point.
I mean, I love that this guy, Ben, he's doing the session, but then he's gone and done one-on-one session because he knows that kid needs it.
We haven't done that. Well, maybe we're bastards.
I just want to make clear to our parents, I'm not offering that unless you are paying.
No one's going to pay for our coaching, mate.
Ours would be more like, those military camps that they send to kids and misbehaving kids. If you want someone to swear and shout at your kid.
That's what it is. If you carry on misbehaving, I'm going to send you to Ben and Mike coaching.
You're going to do some one-on-ones with Ben and Mike. Talking of training, our team training, we have stuck with plan out from the back, building attacks from the defensive half session with Paul Barry. This is about, the first part of the session, as we spoke about before, is about receiving on the back foot, playing forward. And then there's little combination play where you play the pass to the safe side, little combination around the cone, etc., move on to the next one. And then there's trying to play through the person in the middle as if you were playing out from the back. Training was, it feels like ages ago now.
Doesn't it?
But I think the boys, what I would say is, when you take this approach where you do it in 3-week cycles where you stick to the same drill, they do start to get it more and more. They get it, like the drill starts to get better. There's no setup time there's no explanation time because they immediately know what the drill requires. And then it doesn't mean you're immediately going to see it in the game, but I think the principle, which is that episode that we did with Dario Simoniero, another football DNA coach, he talked about coaching principles, not patterns. Yeah. And I think that sticking with that and showing that, and in these training drills, you can see the boys are starting to get the concepts, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it did help this week last week, that we had the full team as well. So that setup worked better when we had the full, at least 8 of them, if not the 9 with our keeper. Whereas previously, I think we had 5 at some point, or like in and out, kids turning up late. Whereas this time, they were all there on time. The drill went really, really well. I think conditions were pretty poor from what I remember, but they cracked on. What I did also notice, by the way, is that you'd had that zone set up, but whilst I was kind of leading on that, you were going to set up another zone for the next drill, which I thought was brilliant. It was just seamless going from this one to that one, and none of this downtime for them. You can have a quick drink, but then you're straight on to the next one, because we notice that little downtime in between the drills is when they start really messing around and they start really getting on our nerves, and then the whole drills can be affected by our mood, their moods, the whole thing can break down. But when you have these zones set out, or 2, 3, whatever you could do them, and you can just seamlessly transition, is that just something that you just thought about more, or is it just something that you just thought at the time, just do it?
No, I think that what I'd say is, given the context of knowing that with our team, we can't get on the pitch before. Yeah. So I can't set up the drills because there are teams, it's back to back to back to back. And we are the last session before the Saturday League men's games happen on that pitch. So if I could get on the pitch before, everything would be set up and you just walk from one to one. I think what we've learned from doing the different sessions, learning from the different coaches, and also I think, if I might say, you yourself growing in confidence with the coaching, because I feel like you just let me do it, and then you didn't really want to, well, not that you didn't really want to, but you now have, because you're starting to understand the drills and the coaching and the points we're getting across, you have the confidence to say the stuff to them. So also what you get with the free, now I'm not only have I got to explain it for the boys, I need to explain it for you and for me. Like I'm doing the drill for the first time, you're doing the drill for the first time. But now once we've done 1 week and you get it and you know it, I know that I can leave you to it because you've got the drill, you understand it. And also we use it sometimes in the warm-up. So it's like we're getting loads of repetitions of that drill. And then I just thought, what I hate, which every coach will know, is as soon as you say, go and get a drink, smash the balls in the goals. And these are the different things that happens. One, they fight over which ball, who's got what ball. So then one will kick the ball in the other one's face. So there'll be an argument about who's got what ball. Then someone will smash the ball in someone's face. Or they'll chase each other and foul one another, and then there's crying. Then there's kicking it against the fence, and then it like ricochets off the fence and goes onto another pitch. And then when you say everyone come in, you see some kid like legging it onto another pitch. What are you doing? I'm going to get the ball. Why is it down there? I hit it against the fence. Brilliant. Right, great. We're wasting loads of time. And actually think if I can make those steps in, like I can set up while you're continuing to coach. But also I think we've also been using more of that stuff where we were doing in between the Saul thing, which was Saul's episode where he's like 6-4-2s.
Yep.
Or how many kick-ups can you do? Or occupying them. Give them something to do in between those moments where you're changing drills. Don't just go and get a drink.
It's the easiest one, isn't it? The 6-4-2s. I actually really like that.
I do.
And the kids do as well. Because then what we've done is we've changed it a little bit, right? So instead of us giving them what their 6-4-2s are, which if you haven't listened to that episode, it's basically ball mastery, right? But it's 6 of one thing, 4 of another thing, and 2 of another thing, and you just keep recycling it. And we've changed it slightly, so now that the kids, we pick some of the kids to choose the 6-4-2, so it gives them a bit of control and autonomy over what they do. And then we want them to be loud, so we'll tell them to shout when they've done a 6, when they've done a 4, when they've done a 2, and then that just starts getting the quieter ones to open up a little bit more. Obviously, the lunatic ones are just screaming their heads off, which is absolutely fine. But yeah, I think there's little ways in which you can tailor things for certain teams and for players in your team.
Quick break. Before we dive back into the episode, we want to take a moment to help you level up your coaching game with the help of Football DNA, the ultimate coaching platform that's been a game changer for us. What do we love about it? It's super easy to use, saves us loads of time, and best of all, it doesn't just show you how to set up a practice, it teaches you how to coach it properly. And that's the key. The sessions are put together by top level coaches. We're talking first team staff at clubs like Celtic, Crystal Palace, and West Ham. Proper pedigree. You get videos, diagrams, full explanations, downloadable PDFs, and if you need it, a full 36-week training plan tailored to the age group you are coaching. Our lads have loved the sessions. It's made our lives easier, improved our coaching, and taught us loads. Now we genuinely look forward to training and developing our players. Check it out at footballdna.co.uk. That's footballdna.co.uk, or you can download the app. Just search Football DNA. Trust us now and you'll thank us later. I also don't think we don't need to worry about hydration, because then that avoids the annoying thing of, where's my water bottle?
Yes.
Oh my God. So did you leave it in the car? Yeah, I left it in the car. Brilliant. Great. You know how many times?
One thing they've got to remember. Yeah,
just remember the water bottle. I don't know where it is. Is this my one? I can't find it. So, hopefully they won't die.
Please message in if that's not just us, because I find it insane. Raf loses something every single week, and he's just got to remember one thing.
He lost the coat the other day.
He lost the coat in the rain. How? I do not know. It was pissing down, and I turned around and said, "Where's your coat?" He'd gone. Loses the coat in the rain.
Was mental. Now, talking about the rain, this was the game. This is El Chavico. 2 council estate chavs with 2 of their little posh boyfriends. I mean, by the way, this is a serious question. Can you be posh if you're from Grimsby? So Tom's from Grimsby. Is that possible?
He seems posh.
Like, he speaks well.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This is a general question. Send in your answers. Yeah. Can you be posh if you're not like middle class, southern glass cutting English accent? Like, is it possible to be posh?
You're going to get lit up.
No, but can you be a posh Geordie? Is that possible? I don't think you can. You can't be posh from anywhere in the country.
You've got to be from Surrey or somewhere.
I think you do. I'm sorry. But
there's posh and there's levels of posh though, isn't there?
All right, but we have found a posh boy from Grimsby and his name's Tom.
Yeah.
So
who knew?
El Chavico, big game. But it's fair to say we were, I mean, where is it in Game of Thrones that the Ice King lives? Or where do you watch Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Come on, Alex. You don't watch Game of Thrones?
He didn't watch anything. He's just working for us.
What is it?
On the pod constantly.
What we need to look this up because I can't get it wrong.
The night guy.
Yeah.
The Night King.
Yeah, but he's not called the Night Guy. But where does
the winter is coming in the north, beyond the wall.
Beyond the wall, wherever. So that was that joke went terribly. But let's just say that was the level of conditions we were playing in. Like the Ice King, he might be freezing his bollocks off, but he might have needed like a dry robe on the side. It was.
We should do that.
It was.
We'll do that. The Night King with whatever his name is with a dry robe,
because that was proper naughty. It was.
Yeah, it was. It was a shame, isn't it? We'll go into it.
So unfortunately, it ended in defeat. Now, this bit is specifically for Reese and Tom because I know they're going to get irritated listening to it. I looked at the stats. Yes, VO does record the stats. More shots, Lee Ramblers Black. More corners, Lee Ramblers Black. More free kicks, Lee Ramblers Black. More passes completed, Lee Ramblers Black. More possession, Lee Ramblers Black. And their goalkeeper got man of the match. So,
and we got more followers on Instagram.
Although Reese thinks he's famous now because he's had a couple of bangers go on to social. But I say all this partly in jest because I've watched the game back. By the way, have you watched it back?
I managed to watch a lot of the goals and some of the shots, but I haven't watched the whole game back.
So I couldn't watch it.
It's a tough one.
I couldn't watch it back till Thursday. I could not watch it because I was too annoyed and I was gutted. And I think that's the most gutted I've been about a game in a long, long time. I think you and me have got really good at not caring. Yeah. Well, not that we don't care, but like, it's whatever.
Yeah, shrugging it off. Yeah.
That one got me because I didn't think we deserved to lose. Now, I know I made reference to all those points. I think a draw was a fair result. I've watched it back. I absolutely maintain that. I think they started the better. Then it got even. Then in the second half, when we make it 2-1, it's all us. We miss loads of chances. And then I think they finished the stronger. Yeah. But I would say that, they punish us. What was it Michael Fox is like, the difference in the two boxes? We didn't defend properly, they did. And then they took their chances and we didn't.
And they did punish us, let's be honest. The last 3 to 5 minutes, it was like our boys just down tools and they just fully punished us, which fair play to them. I mean, when we talk about the conditions, they were horrific, like the worst we've seen. It was like a war zone, wasn't it? Yeah. Kids were going down, they were crying, they were soaked through the bone. They, even the parents, I remember I spoke to Estelle afterwards and she was like, how is that game still called on? I'm like, it was on Astro. I know it was bad, it was rain, but you're not going to call the game off for it.
Maybe we'll get to our post-match analysis of our boys in the back when we get to the...
Oh, yeah.
So the conditions were horrific, and I'm sure that anyone who played on that Sunday will testify that was brutal. Anyway, I'd say they start the better, but then it's quite uneven. They're 1-0 up at half-time. I mean, that goal, I've watched it. Like, I couldn't remember any of the goals. I watched the first goal. 3 opportunities to stop the player. He walks... One, we don't cut out the pass when we should have done. He walks through 2 tackles. 1-0. Very frustrating. But I think I could hear us on the sidelines were being positive because we were playing well. So I wasn't feeling too negative. I thought we was doing well.
It was one of those, it just felt... I always think with these... And I think we've been lit up in the comments before around don't say unlucky. Yeah. But it felt unlucky. It was like they were trying, but sometimes when you don't fully commit to a challenge, and it is the most frustrating thing when they don't fully commit to a challenge, but when they don't, you can just be punished. And if there's a bigger kid against a smaller kid and they're not fully committed, they can just walk through you. And it did feel like a bit of that.
It did. We the ball ricocheted in each tackle and went their way. But, you should have been stronger in the challenge. Yeah. And then we get one back. Lovely little interplay exchange between Ollie and Parker. And I love Ollie's finish. The way he sort of sweeps it in. Yeah. Brilliant goal. Really like that. Then the game. That
was 1-2 with Parker, wasn't it?
Yes. So now it's 2-1.
And Parker's been doing that a lot.
Yeah.
He's with good. Fred or with Ollie. The 1-2s have been brilliant.
He's really good at that combination play. The game is now end to end. It's very open. They're like, we are on top, but they're also looking dangerous on the counter. Their goalkeeper, Teddy, as an absolute worldie. We hit the post as well. So when we went 1-0 down, by the way, Dexter hits the post. Yeah. That would have made it 1-0. That felt unlucky. We'll get to the opportunities they had as well. It wasn't all one way. But I just felt in those situations, we did 2v1 in the warm-up, right? Yeah. But we were not using the 2v1 that we'd done in the warm-up. We were choosing to go our own or go the wrong way and not make the pass. We're just not making the right decisions. We're taking too many touches. I think we passed when we should have shot. But we were doing well. And, we also have to take into account they're kids, right? So they're 9. They don't always make the right decision. Yeah. Adults don't always make the right decision. Both teams have big chances. Freddie, Ollie, Dexter, Parker, all of the... like I say, Teddy makes loads of good saves, but they have chances. Mm-hmm. Albie makes a good save. They hit the bar. Evan hit the bar. I think it was Evan.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
That was like a absolute. You just knew that was hitting the back of the net.
Yeah. And then it,
Don't know how it hit the bar.
yeah. So they had chances on the counter, but there was like a Teddy tipped one over the bar. Then he did he saved one-on-one with volley. I think the actual one that he tips over the bar comes from a corner, but he tips one around the post from Freddie that leads to that.
Yeah.
But like I say, I want to be clear before. I know that I'm going to be getting a text message from Reese. A draw would have been fair, and they had their opportunities. I'm just focusing on kind of what we did, and they definitely had their chances on the counter. I think they won because they defended better.
Yeah.
I just think Harry at the back for them was
He
probably
was
one of the, if it weren't Teddy, their man of the match, to me it was Harry. I think Ollie, Dexter and Fred were good for us. And then, yeah, so it's 2-1. We miss our chances when we should have taken them. And then now the boys are starting to fall like flies as well, like they wanted to come off, understandably. Well, sort of understandably. and then our boys they're getting upset. Both teams, by the way, boys wanted to come off because of the horrific conditions.
Clem ended up with some
marigolds
on some pink long gloves.
If I was Clem, I would have said I'd rather my arms fall off with frostbite than wear those.
They were that desperate.
Yeah. But to be fair, he's 9, so probably put the gloves on. And then the 3 goals that they score after, I mean,
tough watch, isn't it?
I mean, I actually think their second goal is. I think that all round defensively, those goals need to be stopped. Like whether it be a save, clearing the ball, making a tackle, we just don't do enough defensively, and that is hard to take. And I'd say that attacking wise, fantastic, but creating chances, but we just didn't do it defensively, and that was tough. But again, they're young kids that were absolutely struggling out there.
Yeah,
the cold became overwhelming for both. How were you feeling at the time about
at the end?
So, how are you feeling about the kids and the cold?
It was frustrating. I at the time I was getting really frustrated with it, because it was freezing, but it's freezing for everyone. Our boys just seem to be more affected than others by adverse weather conditions. It seems.
Yeah.
When it's too hot, when it's too cold, when it's too wet, whatever it is, it's like. It's the same conditions for everyone, but they just seem to have got on with it. And granted, they did have a couple of kids that wanted to come off. They had a few kids crying, similar vibe to us, but they didn't give up. And it just felt like we did start to give up, and that was frustrating. But then afterwards, the reason I did get over it quite quickly, one was Raf was mega upset. And when they get to that level of upset, and it wasn't about anything I'd said. It was just, he was just massively, he was blaming himself. He was freezing cold. He was just crying his eyes out. When I get to that level of upset, for me, it was just like, oh, he is a little boy and I feel bad for him. And then I also remember as a kid, I was mega skinny like Raf, and I was just always cold at football. So it was just a kind of that instant reminder of what it was like for me as a kid, and how we used to probably annoy my mum and my brother who used to come and watch. But then you have all the happy memories. It's weird how that was like a bad memory for them, but it would be a memory they won't forget.
So you might have wondered while I was trying not to laugh like a sicko while you were saying that Raf was you thought, oh, poor little boy. It wasn't quite what happened in the car though, was it?
No.
When they both got in.
Yeah, that was even more frosty in the car, wasn't it?
I understand that they're 9 and you have to compensate for that. You have to show that level of understanding. And it was horrendous. And I understand it. But at the same time, you're trying to teach them no matter what happens, you do not quit.
Exactly.
Ever.
Yeah.
And I think the key is to not be angry at them, but to let them know that from this situation you have to learn, and you have to think to yourself, when I'm in that situation, so you help them and you coach them and you understand, so you show sympathy, which I think what we're saying is pretty ruthless. Like they're upset in the background and we're kind of immediately after the game, we're quite emotional. We're not taking that into account. But I think later on, as I know you did, I know I did, I kind of reflected on it and felt like, yeah, you know what, that was harsh. They were upset. They needed a bit of sympathy. But also, I explained to you when I played a game when I was a kid, and I think I was probably a bit older, so I think I was maybe being a little bit unfair as well. I played a game don't know if we talked about it on the episode we did with my dad, where
Yeah.
it was like hailstones, half the team come off and I didn't come off and we got battered. And I was so cold. It was horrendous. That when I got home, like, I couldn't move. My parents had to undress me and like lower me into a lukewarm bath. So in my head, I don't quit. So when I see them quitting, I kind of can't help but think, well, and I see other boys on the pitch not quitting. It's unfair that you're putting that pressure on them, that expectation that you shouldn't do it. When each person is their own individual and they're a kid, they're going to develop like physically. Their body physiologically it might release heat quicker. Like, you don't know what's going on with them.
Yep.
So with Alf, he didn't want to come off, but it basically wasn't planned, was he? He was crying and he couldn't handle it. So I took him off and I didn't react angrily to him, but I wasn't sympathetic. Like, when he come off, I didn't hug him.
But to give it extra context, is you didn't just take him off. It was, you asked him 10 times, right? Do you want to come off? And he's like, no, keep going. Okay, fine. And then it got to a point where you had to take him off. So it wasn't like one mistake or in your head, he felt like he'd given up. So you just took him straight off. There was probably 10 minutes of play.
Yeah. And he didn't want to come off. And when later on I spoke to him, I said, you know what? Like, that's great that you didn't want to come off. But if you're on, you got to play and you got to work. And other boys wanted to come off. So I have to add that context. I find this a really difficult one because they're 9, it was freezing, it was horrible, and I get it. I really, honestly, I do. But at the same time, I feel like I'm trying to teach them that no matter what happens in any situation, you do not quit. I don't expect them to not quit now because they're kids. But what I'm trying to do is teach them the lesson when you get older.
And I think the way that is harsh, and it was harsh, but I feel like it's one of those where you say the harsh truth and then you can move on for it. Whereas previously we would have said the harsh truth and we wouldn't have moved on from it. And then we would have kept bringing it up and it would have ruined the weekend. Whereas we were able to just compartmentalize it, get rid of it, say the harsh truth so that they can learn in the future and to continue to make improvements in terms of not giving up. But then you can shut it away. Whereas if I feel like, for me anyway, and I know you're the same, is if we were like, don't worry about it, boys, don't worry, absolutely fine, then they probably would give up again on the next time it's cold, because that's always going to happen. Like this weekend, it's going to be cold. It's going to be the exact same thing, but we don't want them to give up. So, and they probably will, but eventually over time, they probably won't, and they'll make strides to not do that.
When people like will listen to that or maybe like listen to this conversation and go, what an arsehole.
Yeah.
And you know what? I take that. Fair enough. Like, I take it on the chin. I accept that maybe that behavior is one of an arsehole. But I think that in life and in any sport, in any context, you face adversity and you have to learn from the situation. Yes, it was horrendous, but I will not quit. I will not accept that I'm going to quit, and I'm going to fight to the end. And they don't have to do it now. It's like you're putting a building block, you're planting a seed in their head. That's when that happens again, you don't quit. And what I was saying to Alf, I was like, I really sympathised with him. I did. We had a really good conversation when I got back and got home, and I ran a warm bath for him and I helped him. But I said, remember how you feel now, because he was, you're saying that Raf was upset.
Yeah.
Alf was gutted. He was going, I wish I'd run more. I wish I'd run when I was cold. I wish I hadn't. He's going, I wish I hadn't given up. And I was like, remember how you feel now. Remember it. Remember that. So the next time when you're on that pitch and you're cold and you've got that voice in your head telling you to come off, you remember this feeling because you don't want to feel it again. So next time you're going to talk to yourself positively, saying, right, I need to move. I need to get the blood going. I need to get warm. Because if you stand there and you're sort of shaking, it's making it worse. And they are 9. I get it. They're 9. But what I don't know what the answer is. People will be here saying you should have come off and you give them a cuddle. Maybe that is what I should have done.
Maybe. And I think we did. There was some harsh truths in there, but it wasn't like, we rushed them off. We got them into the car. We got the heating on full blast. We had some harsh truths, yes, but everything else was very, much like you would expect a parent to be. It was comforting for them. Like Raf, when I dropped you guys off, first thing, that's when he fully broke down and was crying, right? It did help that was 20 minutes after, so it was had a bit more time to decompress yourself emotionally. But he was saying that the 3 of the goals were his fault, and the harsh truth I said to him was, I think at least one of the goals was definitely you didn't clear the ball, But mistakes, so that's the harsh truth. But the mistakes happen. So I said to him, mistakes happen, especially as a defender. Defenders and goalkeepers, if you make a mistake, it can be a goal. Whereas what we then did is when we got in, is we looked back on the VO through the goals, and there is probably 4 or 5 mistakes, not fully committing to a challenge before it gets to the defence. And then he does the same thing that others in the team did up the pitch, but it just means that you're right in front of goal, it's going to be a goal. So it's a really tough position, and I think it's just a lesson that he needs to continue to learn, that if you do make a mistake, when you make a mistake, it's definitely going to happen most weeks. It's all about learning, and you just got to lock it away and move on to the next one. And I think that will be a good lesson for him, because it felt like it really clicked. But let's see, because I'm sure there'll be ups and downs.
Quick one for the coaches and volunteers listening. If you're sorting kits for a grassroots team, you'll know the pain. It's never as simple as it should be. That's exactly why Discount Football Kits exists. They supply quality football kits at prices that actually work for grassroots clubs. No nonsense, no hard sell, just reliable teamwear that turns up on time and looks the part on match day. From full team kits to training wear for growing squads, everything's built to make your life easier. If you're tired of overpaying or overthinking kits, head to discountfootballkits.com and get your team sorted today. And I think it happened that we had Raf's birthday party after.
Yeah.
That definitely helped us.
Yeah.
Because we saw them, like, that's when you realise they're just a little boy.
Yeah. And they didn't give a shit afterwards.
No, they did not care. And they had a great time. You see them running around with your mates. Yeah. Like you, me and Danny are in the corner, like dissecting it like Monday Night Football. Not speaking to Teddy's dad until I'd calmed down.
Yeah, you text me said, I've heard Teddy's coming. This is their keeper who got man of the match.
Chuck him out. But then, like, once you've kind of, got over it because you're being silly, you realise they're just little boys, and you mess up, you see them having fun. And me and I've had some really good chats and conversations about it. And actually what I did, there's some things that I was researching around this, because I was trying to understand, like, what is the best scenario response in this situation? Why do I feel like this? Like, why am I not helping him? And the thing is, what I always say, what we say on this podcast, right? And anything I think in life, you cannot help feelings. You feel how you feel. Like, I think that the wrong approach to life is to, if you have a feeling, like, you reject it and tell yourself that that's wrong and I'm wrong for feeling I shouldn't feel like that. You're going to feel how you feel. It's how you manage it that kind of is what you do as you get, older. You try to manage those feelings and react more appropriately rather than reacting just on emotion.
Yeah.
So some of the other books I've read, Mike.
You've read a book, have you? Oh, are these those Mr. Men ones? Yeah.
No, they're the books that you used to find in bushes and stuff.
Didn't realise I had words in them.
Some really lovely reader letters in those books.
Did you ever work for one of the lad mags?
I didn't, but I worked at a place where they did lots of magazines, but they were mainly, it was like TV, hi-fi, that kind of stuff. But also on their portfolio of magazines were some risque magazines, and in the men's toilets. Funnily enough, it wasn't the home cinema setup. It was something that you might watch on your home cinema setup. Anyway, I digress. It's a kids' film podcast.
Yeah, we've done it again.
Yes. Anyway, so Ryan Holiday. I don't know if anyone is familiar with this guy. I've read a few of his books, but he does he's written a ton, and he writes on Stoicism, which is like a philosophical approach to life, and he sort of interprets it for so that you can understand it in modern day context. I absolutely love it. I'm bang into it. And I was kind of looking back over books that I've read and reading stuff online, and how you often think of Stoicism or being resilient and tough as being like not reacting to that cold. And actually what it said on it was Stoicism is about leading with empathy. So you value compassion and acknowledge that something is hard. And that helps children regulate emotions and feel safe and not weak. So I think that's really important, because you don't want to shame your kid, which I think by the way, I have been guilty of. You don't want to shame them because they were cold, or shame them because they were hurt. Yeah. And I've been guilty of that, and I know I have.
Yes.
And actually, to lead with empathy is a really good approach. And then so you validate their feelings. So you don't tell them that you're not wrong for feeling like that, but maybe we can adjust our response to that situation. And what I was trying to get to across to Alf was that like growth happens after like a struggle. So that would be like making a mistake in a game. Like, so you learn from it, how do you get better? So, and also you shouldn't try to like, which I've done before, is like overwhelm them and or it becomes a battle of wills. Like the kid saying, I am cold and I am upset. And you're saying, no, you're not. You shouldn't give up like that. There becomes a clash of wills rather than actually showing empathy and then not trying to make them push through it, but learning and trying again next time, which we said, right? Remember this. Yep. You don't want to do it next time. Using setbacks as training and not shame. So frame hard days as experiences that make them stronger and not failures. And balance strength with kindness. So encourage resilience over time while protecting confidence, which I think is a really good point. That's how long-term toughness is built. And what I took away from that massively was like my response is always to like shame weakness. Like, how dare you quit? When actually you that shatters confidence. So actually you show understanding and empathy, but then how can we learn from it and actually think that builds resilience? I don't know what, I think that the way you described I'm sure you weren't, using your Ryan Holiday style as a notebook while you were handling RAF, but it sounds like that's the sort of approach you were going for.
Yeah, it was. But then, you look back on what some of the other things I was saying around everyone else seemed pretty cold, but you seemed mega cold. Like, why were you more cold than others? Like, that is like how you can shatter confidence. He can't help that. If he's skinnier than everyone else, he probably is going to be the most cold. So it's one of those things when you with hindsight and you look back, you're like, wow, that was horrible then.
Yeah.
And shouldn't say these things. But then now, so just like them learning, you're learning.
Exactly.
As well. Yeah.
So I think that what we take from that is like we take the positives from what we did, reflect on the negatives, how we could do better. And I think looking at that stoicism stuff, like not to shame, don't shatter confidence and build resilience through like it doesn't have to be like click your fingers, you're now tough.
Yeah.
Like they're kids. They're just in the same way that they develop technique and tactical understanding, they might develop resilience and mental strength over time. You just can't expect them to have it. The other thing I saw, which I thought was really interesting, was Jimmy Carr did this video. Do you ever watch any Jimmy Carr stuff?
Yeah, I've been watching a lot more now.
Yeah. So like, I don't really, sorry for listening, Jimmy. I'm sure you're not.
Fuck. Jimmy Carr's listening to this shit.
Got a few thousand views on YouTube. Jimmy Carr's getting served kids football podcasts. I don't like massively love Jimmy as a comedian, but he does loads of stuff now. If you look on YouTube, like about like his philosophy on life, and I think he's got some amazing takes, and he's very well read. So we have we have a lot in common. And I watched this video. He talks about a cure for toxic masculinity, and basically the overview of the video is that the reason like men are losing their identity in the modern era and stuff is because they're isolated by not going down the pub and being with mates, and like if you were pestering a girl, your mate would be the one that took the piss out of you and say like, mate, what are you doing? Don't do that. But I understand. But like men are not doing that now. They're staying at home isolated. They're not spending time in groups and stuff. There's a lot more to the video. Look it up, Jimmy Carr's Cure for Toxic Masculinity. And what I loved about the video is basically saying that men they'll learn to deal with emotions better in their own way if they're in a group. And I was thinking about, I understand that toxic masculinity in men that go to watch football and drinking and fighting and all that, that's not great. But actually grassroots football for a kid is getting them off screens. They're not being isolated at home playing video games. They're together. They're learning loads about sort of the hierarchy of being in like a social group, and they're creating those connections, and then they build friendships. And then when they have problems, they talk to one another. And I actually think that if you frame it like football, playing any team sport, is really building a foundation for having a healthy relationship with masculinity and understanding your emotions, because you're with a team. Like, you think that's what you do with your friends, right? Like, women do it differently. They might like be more sympathetic and listen to one another. Men might take the piss out of each other and stuff. But I think I think if you're ever wondering about whether you should keep your kid in football or keep your boy playing in a football team or
any sport.
Yeah, or any sport. Like, I think it's a great place for understanding masculinity in a sort of healthy context.
I think so as well. And you think of toxic masculinity, and a lot of the time you think of aggression, right? And aggression in sport. And a lot of people that don't necessarily understand football or are in, have kids in football or have played football themselves, they would view it as, it's the hooligans, it's everyone down the pub, it's everyone shouting at each other, shouting at the refs, shouting at kids, all this stuff, all negative. And aggression is good in sport, so that's just always going to be there. But it's a good way of harnessing that aggression. And you see this with other sports, like boxing, prime example.
You get it out of your system, right?
Get it out of your system. And you see it like rugby. All of what I do love about rugby is just they can harness that aggression from a super young age, and they're mega respectful. That is what football is missing. But if you're the right type of coach, and our responsibility is you can get that aggression and get all of those hormones flowing through these kids and get it out of their systems, get them working as a team, but also being respectful. We are very hot on this. You never complain to the ref, you never complain to your teammates, and you show respect to your coaches. That builds real life skills that they will then take on into when they're adult and when they're in working life.
I also think we never take into consideration that men biologically, physiologically produce more testosterone.
Yeah.
So playing sport is an opportunity to channel that positively. And then also when you things that can make you angry and you get frustrated, where toxic masculinity can sort of come to the fore. But when you play sport, you learn to manage frustration, celebrate wins, cope with losses, all that kind of stuff. You come together as a group. And I just feel like I was thinking about, the reason I started thinking about masculinity was because you could argue we were shaming our son's masculinity by not being tough enough to. So I was trying to sort of understand, why do I have this perception of it, what it should be? And I actually think that it's not about masculinity being toxic. It's about you having a healthy understanding of what it is so that you can show your son, not reject everything about masculinity. Masculinity can be positive, but it's up to you to understand how do you shape that positively rather than, turn it into some Andrew Tate type, which we definitely don't want.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to get on to Ballers Elite versus Spurs. Another basically test of masculinity. Or what was
it's a roller coaster, this one.
It's tough, man. It's tough. So Alf went roller skating. Is that masculine?
Did you go with him?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I was wrestling instead.
Yeah.
I was out fighting and drinking Stella. Fucking roller skating. So anyway,
you were just in the corner listening to the tunes, weren't you? Listening to some 90s pop.
I had my disco hot pants on in the corner. So anyway, Ralph, every single time. Alf went roller skating on Monday with Carrie and Charlie's brother. Hurt himself. Sort of talking about that on Tuesday. Sort of mentioned it hurt him. They went to London all day. He was in some discomfort. Then he trained at Three Lions on the Tuesday. Did not want to go, by the way. Did not want to go. But again, I pushed him to go. I would not let him off. Carrie wanted to let him off. I didn't.
But he wasn't hobbling around.
No,
you
but
thought he could play.
I thought he could. I think there were certain movements that he found discomfort in, but there'd be other times where he'd be running around.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're and I think that is fair with injury, but as a dad, you're kind of kids, he's tired, he's trying to feign it because he doesn't want to go because he's been out all day.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to teach him consistency and discipline. Don't matter if you're tired. So what? People are tired all the time. Go to training. Then he goes and he can't really play. He struggles. Ross brings him over. He's sort of not. I was really suppressing my frustration because I kind of felt you're a little bit hurt, but you've kind of given up, and I've seen you running around the house. I know certain things were a little bit uncomfortable, but are you actually that hurt? Have you given up before you got here? Again, fully welcome people calling me an arsehole. I get it. Maybe I am. And then on Wednesday, I meant to be playing Ballers with Spurs. He wakes up. Now, I would say that situation that I handled and the one with being cold after, not perfect handling of the situation, but definitely progress for me. He's getting ready. You're coming to pick us up. He tries to go and get in the bath. I see him taking off his clothes. He doesn't know that I've come out the room, so he's not putting on a show for me. And there's discomfort in a certain movement of his leg. So I sort of have a conversation with him. Don't get me wrong, my tone and body language was not great. But I'm like, I don't think you should play. Because if you go, you're playing against very good players. You're going to get frustrated and upset, and I don't think you should play. Now, I'll say that I did not manage it perfectly, but it was quite good. And then I actually felt relieved at myself for making a good decision and not letting my instincts and my natural response control. It was almost like I rejected the emotion and listened to the logic, even if my tone and body language wasn't saying that.
Right, yeah.
Anyway, so after it and go, he sat it out. I was initially frustrated, but as the day went on, it dissipated and I felt good. And me and Alf didn't have an argument. There was no confrontation. I felt pleased that I made that choice. So now I'll hand over to you, Mike. Tell us about the Ballers Elite experience at Spurs. Go Cardless makes collecting payments simple with automatic direct debit. Membership fees come in on time every month without watching parents dig through their pockets only to find a crisp packet or race into the cash point while you wait in the rain. There's no more, I'll give it to you next week. You can just drop a link into your WhatsApp group and bingo. Payments are sorted. It handles the admin too, automatically keeping track of who's paid, what's outstanding, and retrying any payments that didn't go through, helping your club keep a steady cash flow for pitch hire, kits, and equipment. You can even pause or adjust payments when families need flexibility, keeping your club supportive and inclusive. Go Cardless takes care of the money so you can focus on running great sessions and growing your club.
Yeah, there's another amazing opportunity for the Ballers Elite team that Frankie and Levi and the group set up. So it was at Spurs' training ground, which is absolutely incredible. It's the best thing that they've done, I think. Obviously, everyone goes on about their stadium. Yeah, great. Their stadium's great. Their training ground is absolutely incredible. Their team, less so. All right. But get there. Obviously, the boys are buzzing, taking pictures with the sign and everything. And so they go in. In the team was Parker, Dexter, Fred, and Raf from Lee Ramblers Black, and then Jack from Lee Ramblers Blues, who was there as well. And then there was Levi, who's one of the coaches, his son, and another kid, and then the goalkeeper. So there was 8 of them. It was like a round robin type tournament. There was a Spurs kind of EDC team, so like the elite development
Centre,
something like that.
Yeah.
They're like good, like
not
really,
the EDL.
really good. Not the EDL. No, not the EDL. Spurs
They
EDL.
would have been happy to see you there.
Yeah. So there was a couple of good teams there. We played the first team and we wiped the floor with them. We played so well. Passing, movement. Freddie scored some unreal goals. Scored an absolute banging free kick from halfway line. I think it was like 5-0 in that first game. Then the second game, we didn't know who the team were, but we found out it was the Spurs EDC team. And I think we won 3-1, but it was a really close game, but like really, really good standard across both of the teams. And because the vast majority of our team was Lee Ramblers Black, they trusted each other. You know, we've been to these things before. It's usually get the ball, run forward, lose it, or get past your man. But it's not really a lot of passing going on. But there definitely was in this game, and some fantastic goals. I think Fred scored a couple as well. Then we were all flying. We've done it again. It's so impossible not to do this. We were like, well, we're going to win this whole thing. Don't even think there was a trophy or anything. There was no like actual winner. But we thought, well, we're going to win this whole thing. And we played Dynamo. I think it was Sports Youth, but it might be wrong there. It was definitely a Dynamo team. Their coach was brilliant, by the way. I could hear him talking to the team. The way that he was coaching them, he was like a loud guy. He was quite vocal, but the way he was talking to them was after the fact. So he would coach them when the ball had gone off.
Sounds like you like him more than...
Yeah, he was actually a good coach. He kind of looked like you.
Like that blonde one at the back.
Yeah, and we got spanked by them. I think it was like 5-1. Could have even been slightly more. They were really, really good. And then we played Kettering Town, really similar story. They smashed us. Excellent. Some of their goals were phenomenal. They did really, really well. And we started to kind of stop playing at that point. I think that first game where we lost 5-1, the boys were just really knocked. And in the next game, the team would have beaten us anyway, I would think. But at our best, we would have given them a good game. It was kind of like what happened in the Blues match in the last 3-5 minutes. They just kind of stopped playing. It was really frustrating to watch from all the parents. No one really knew what was going on. So we were just trying to G them up a little bit, get them moving, get them actually to not give up. And then we played they went into semi-finals. There was like the top group of semis and the bottom group of semis. And we played the Spurs EDC team again. But this time they brought, I think it was 3 other kids into the team that were clearly, I don't know if they're in the same group or a slightly level above, but they were phenomenal. Like really, really good. And I think we lost 9-0. But these 3 kids just dominated it. And what I would say is a couple of things was another fantastic experience for them. And I think Raf came away from it absolutely fine. And I was fine with him. Whereas previously, those types of things, those types of performances, it would have really got to me when he stops playing. But it was one of those things. They were excellent and he was shocked like the rest of the boys were. The other piece was, from a parent's perspective, if this is new to you, like it was for us, and how we react, and we're just confused and we're annoyed and frustrated and we don't understand why they're doing this. There's loads of parents like that around the side, and you can see them all being super frustrated. So it's a learning curve when you play these teams that are just clearly another level to your team or your son or daughter. It's learning for the adults. They need to come to terms with, actually, this is something I need to upskill myself on how to deal with a situation like this. This is just completely out of normal for you. And then the overwhelming thing, which really set these kids apart, because they're not that 1%, right? They're not the top 1%, but they were levels above. And the overwhelming thing was the strength and physicality of these kids. They're bigger, they're stronger, they've got that hunger. And we've said it time and time again, but it was all of those teams that we lost against. Every single one of their kids was the same. And we've said in our league, there's some kids that have that, like 1 or 2 in each team, and they can really stand out. But when you got a whole team of them and you got a whole club full of them, that's when you really do see the levels then.
And I think it's so, you can put all this pressure on your kid, but ultimately they're going into this situation. Imagine, right, you're a kid, Tottenham's training ground, You're 9 years old, you're Tottenham's training ground, all the coaches are there, you've got all the players' cars there, like the facilities are unbelievable. There's all these other kids there that are good. Your parents in there are you to watch you. This is, in a kid's mind, this is it. This is the FA Cup final or the Champions League final, whatever. That is immense pressure. And also, if you've been invited to these sort of situations, that means that your team's good. Yeah. So you're generally winning, you're dominating, you're probably one of the best players like in your area. And then you go and play there. And then it's massively overwhelming. And then you're like, wow, like this kid's on a different planet to me. And that can be quite a hard like one to take. Yeah. And also like kids have got all these hormones like bouncing around, like they're not fully competent at emotional regulation. I mean, adults aren't. I just think you've got to give them a break. Again, we say this as we have been there getting annoyed. Yep. And all I can say is from experience you learn, and you just need to I'll go back to what I said earlier. You're going to feel how you feel. It's just how you manage it. You're going to watch that and be like, oh my God, why didn't you run for that? Why didn't you make that tackle? Why did you make that decision there? You're going to feel those things. Don't feel guilty about it. But how you respond after is what matters.
Exactly. And there was loads of learnings for the kids. I mean, one of them was the ref gave an offside to Parker. He didn't know what the hell was going on. Neither did we. Like offside, there was 8 years old. But then I think his confidence was completely knocked after that. But now he'll learn that, that was either a mistake from the ref or that was just the rules of the tournament. It was very unclear. But something like that shouldn't knock you, but it does because of all of those things you've outlined. And then from a parent's perspective, as we say, we are not holier than thou. We get it. We're getting better, but it's taken some time. And our kids have been very fortunate that they've had a lot of these opportunities at elite level clubs, whereas others, maybe they're just having their first time in this, or it doesn't even have to be elite level clubs. It could just be a club in your league that's just very, very good or much better than you and your team. How you deal with that, you're not going to be perfect. You might know it in your head, you're not going to be perfect like straight away. But if you can just get a bit better like we are, then, you know, it just makes things so much easier for everyone involved.
And on that, like another thing that sprung to mind when I was making the notes is there's a great TED talk. There's a TED talk on YouTube. Look it up. Angela Duckworth. She's written a book and it's called Grit. And the number one like characteristic of people that are successful is not like, it's got nothing to do with well, obviously there's context and nuance. I know how everyone reacts when it's not black and white. I understand that everyone's situation is different, but as a general rule, huge studies around the world, the one characteristic, it's not financial, it's not race, it's not religion, it's not gender, it's not talent. It's none of those things. The people that succeed are the people that persevere through grit and like learn from experiences. She did a whole book on it, but there's a TED talk on YouTube. Look it up. It's like, I'm sure it's Angela Duckworth, Grit. And I think that what I take from that is all these experiences, like you want them to be perfect. You want them to do it right every single time. But actually the people that succeed, and all footballers, athletes, whatever, they just keep going.
Yeah.
They just keep going and they learn and they don't give up and they don't quit and they don't see every sort of failure as this defines me. They're like, what can I learn from it? And hopefully our boys learn from that. And
but you know, you take this into every walk of life and outside of sport. If I took my job, for example, I've messed up loads of times. If you just messed up and then said, right, that's it, I need to leave. That's it, I need to quit because I've made a mistake. You know, you wouldn't last very long in your job. But if you like accept it, learn from it, learn from the mistakes can be good because then you're moving forward. So I think a lot of the learnings, as we said, I mean, the underlying theme here throughout this whole episode is, yeah, you're going to make mistakes, but you learn from those mistakes. And it's the whole point is to have that grit, determination to not give up.
And that message is not just for kids, it's mainly for the parents.
Yeah.
Because you've got to get better.
Yeah.
This isn't about like, you're not trying to you're not just trying to make your kid develop and improve and grow. You've got to do it to help them.
Yeah.
Just before we go on to listener questions, want to give a little shout out to Charlie boy, my youngest. So he's playing more football, doing lots of 3v3s, 5 years old. What's funny, so he did a 3-line session on a Thursday. Normally I don't say anything to him, not bothered. You know, I've paid for this. I know he's 5. And I know Josh said, you know, as a 6-year-old, your job is to roll around. Well, I sort of agree with you, Josh, but not completely. And Charlie's there, he's messing about, he's not really paying attention, he's like not getting involved. So he's like, what's he taking from the session? He comes off and he was like, how did I do? And I'm like, well, most of the time you're rolling around on the floor and like being silly. So how do you think you did? And that is the first time he's ever had me like go, you know, welcome to hell. And I was just like, well, listen, look, if you want to get better, like rolling around on the floor being silly, like that's not going to help you. Like I'm not, and I wasn't like going at him in the same way I do Alf. It was different. So I think that I learned from being with the eldest, handled it better. And then we played on the Saturday and I did game face with Charlie, right? I said, what 3 words are you going to be today, Charlie? He said dog. Because I said, what animal chases the ball? So when you haven't got the ball, I want you to chase the ball. What animal could do that? He picked a dog.
Good one, yeah.
Our dog George. He was like, I'm going to be like George. When you've got the ball, who are you going to be? He picked Messi. And then I said, like, he said he wanted a nickname because you know we always call Alf a dog.
Yeah.
He's like, I want a nickname. I was like, he wanted to be called the Beast. Right? So and game face worked for him, mate.
Really?
Honestly, it was unbelievable. He was charging around, flying into tackles. Like he did a few of them where I winced like that. But that's more his sort of timing. It's not like being overly aggressive. Yeah. It's just kids being clumsy. Got player of the day, came off. It was like, he was going to me game face. He's like, we have to do that next time. And then now I've been doing little training sessions with him in between our session, his Saturday session and then our session. We're going to do a little bit more. And I'm nowhere near as hard on him as I am Alf. Like it's just worlds apart. But I think I've learned from Alf. Unfortunately, Alf was like the guinea pig.
Yeah.
And I'm doing a better job so far with Charlie. But game face worked a treat. Go back and listen to that episode, by the way, the one with Dan Abrahams.
Dan Abrahams, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll put a link in.
Yeah.
We also need to get Dan back on.
We do.
That was such a good episode.
It was. If you're involved in running a grassroots football club, the football part is easy. It's the admin that takes over your evenings, weekends, and sometimes your sanity. We're excited to partner with Love Admin, the super simple club management platform designed to take all that admin stress off your plate. Whether you're managing a youth team, a community club, or a full academy, Love Admin helps you run things smoothly without drowning in spreadsheets, WhatsApp groups, and late night payment chases. Love Admin handles memberships and registrations, automatically collects payments on time without you having to chase anyone, keeps all your messages to players, parents, coaches, and volunteers in one place, helps you organise volunteers, and gives you clear reports so you always know what's happening across your club. If your club's been saying there has to be a better way to run this, there is. It's Love Admin. All right, listener shout outs and questions. So here we go. An under 8s coach is struggling with a shy, disinterested player whose parents are totally disengaged, often saying in the car they're using the club as a glorified... so they stay in the car, and they're using the club as a glorified babysitting service. After the coach honestly told the mother that the boy doesn't seem to like football and subsequently reduced his match minutes due to lack of focus, the parents have gone silent and started marking him unavailable for all games. The coach is now seeking advice on whether to have one final chat or accept that the family has effectively quit the team. Sounds complicated because you don't know really, obviously we don't know the situation, the parents, the setup and all the rest of it, but it kind of feels like it's fair to have a chat with those parents and say, are you committed? Do you want the boy to play? Because your sort of lack of commitment and enthusiasm for it is maybe reflecting to how he... And by the way, if the kid don't want to play football, don't make him play football.
Yep.
Again, we caveat this by not knowing the full situation and we're not in the environment. But I would say that if the kid doesn't feel like, if he's not acting like a kid who wants to be there and the parents aren't interested, then maybe it is time to have a chat and say, maybe just try a different sport or, maybe ask the kid what he thinks.
Yeah, I think that's right. And it's one of those where you don't want to act hasty, right? You don't want to reduce his minutes without talking to the parents because they might say, oh, sorry, he's going through something right now, or we're going through something, whatever the context is. So as a coach, you've got to be very mindful of that. Communication is key. And that's not just communication with the parents, it's with the kid as well. Because they might open up to you, they might not, but the parents should. And then you will have to, because it will get to a point where it won't be fair for the rest of the team. So you will have to act on it. But it's a very tricky position, and I feel bad. I feel bad for everyone involved there. We had a message from the McSees.
Yeah.
A parent of an exceptionally tall and talented young player, scouted by pro academies, is dealing with relentless sideline abuse from opposition parents who claim his size makes the game unsafe and demand to see his passport. Beyond the physical bullying, the mother is also facing safeguarding complaints about her filming matches, but only when their opposition teams lose, despite everyone having signed consent forms. She wants to discuss how to protect children who are physically advanced and how to handle parents who weaponize filming rules for their own agendas. And we've spoken about this on the other end of the spectrum here, whereas we've spoken about the small kids, right? And how we come up against, or our teams have come up against giant kids, and how it's like crazy how the difference is. I remember seeing this message come through, and I feel for them because I haven't really thought about it from the other end, but it must be hard. It would be horrible hearing these comments and from parents, from coaches, from other kids, or all this stuff about your son who's just there, or your daughter who's just there to play football. They can't help being big, they're just playing whatever's in front of them. So I do get that. How you could handle it, I mean, you're gonna get it, right? You're gonna get this noise wherever they go. If they are exceptionally large, they're more advanced physically, you're probably just gonna get this. You just got to work out a way to drown out the noise. And Peter Crouch is a great example of that, isn't it? And he was really open about that. And his dad used to get in fights all the time on the sidelines because he would get all of this kind of abuse. It became abuse as they got older. It's a tricky position to be in. I don't know the answer for it, but I would say try and drown out a lot of that noise. If your kid's exceptional and he's getting picked up by pro academies and a lot of interest in him, then just block out the haters. And the filming one, we've kind of had that. We get that one, and I think it can be weaponized when they have a bad performance. And I think that's really poor from parents when everyone has a bad game. But, you know, at the end of the day, they're entitled because it's their kids. So you have to kind of respect different views, and it will flare up at certain points.
Yeah, I think for me, I would say to that kid, like, imagine that kid, right? First of all, everyone's always going to talk about his size in everything that he does. So he's going to become self-conscious of it. You don't want him to make him feel like he's a freak. And, you know, that's what defines him as being big. If people are claiming that it's unsafe, you need to relax. Like, what is the matter with people? What I'd say about this kid, I'll just be saying to that kid, like, this is a great learning opportunity. You can have this all your life. This is an opportunity to learn how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Maybe come up with some tools, you know, game face, you know, deep breath, next action, or frame it as your size is your superpower. Like, you can't control what anyone else says about you. That's completely out of your control. What you can control is what you do on the pitch, and your size is your superpower. So don't worry about anyone else.
I'd just say, have a look at a game of rugby for that age. You're going to get big kids and they're going to smash through you. Football's a contact sport, but not in the same way as other sports are. So, take that with a pinch of salt.
And also, like, I agree with you. Look, people can have their own agendas with filming, but ultimately, if you're filming kids, you just have to accept the rules of engagement, and people will leverage it. So, Andrew Hohe?
Yeah, that one done me
what
as
would
well.
What would you try?
Andrew.
Yeah, and maybe.
But just spelled differently. Andrew Hohe.
Okay. Why did you do that for?
I don't know.
A father seeking guidance for his 7-year-old son who has only been training for 7 weeks and is highly self-conscious about being less skilled than his teammates. With a friendly match scheduled for this weekend, the boy is paralysed by the fear of making a mistake or being at fault or for a loss. The father is torn between encouraging him to play to build his confidence or waiting for a few more months until the boy feels more technically prepared for the pressure of a game. I would maybe wait, but tell the son when the game's going to happen, so you're kind of building up to it, but giving the option of not doing it. Fundamentally, you want to protect your kid, but you also can't protect them from, like, in life, this is what happens. And you have to you have to take on challenges, and it's okay to fail. If you go out there and absolutely have a nightmare, so what? Mm-hmm. So what? I think, again, use the tools that you go back to the Dan Abraham's podcast, use Game Face. We've got loads of other episodes where people talking about, like, elite mindset coach Matt Baxter. Go back and listen to that episode. There's loads of tools out there for helping a kid deal with this. I think you want to really give them confidence, and I think confidence comes from practice. So, like, more practice, help them get better. Don't put pressure on them to play. Maybe, like, put it for one in the future when you kind of feel like they're more ready for it. But ultimately, you can't protect your child from difficult situations. And just try to help him deal with the experience of maybe failure or it not going well.
And also communicate again with the coach. Say to the coach. I don't think he is the coach, right? The dad. So communicate to the coach that he is feeling very self-conscious. He's very scared to make mistakes, and that coach will help them. Like, if one of our parents came up to us and said X player is, you know, got a crisis of confidence and really shit scared of making a mistake, we would change our approach totally, and it would be all encouragement all of the time to try and build them up, and just say to everyone in the team, obviously it's all about being respectful, so they're not going to complain if a mistake has happened, but ultimately mistakes will happen. There's no way you'll be able to shield them, as you say.
Yeah, you could show them loads of videos of top players making mistakes
all the time in the Prem. One from, I was going to read it as Anon, but it's synonymous, right? You tried to trip me up there. It's from an under-8s coach who mainly started coaching to spend time with his son. He says the team has developed really well over time and have recently moved up a level after winning evaluation games. What are they?
That's like where they're assessing how good a team is. So they then place you in a league dependent on your performance in those matches.
After winning evaluation games. But the competition was too strong and heavy losses knocked the kids' confidence. They're now dropped back to a more suitable level and performances have improved. However, one player has started refusing to pass and trying to do everything himself. The coach has heard the parent is paying their child per goal and is now affecting team spirits and others' players' attitudes. He's asking how to handle this situation in a way that supports the team without the child's without the children causing conflict. Yeah, we've had this one before around kind of incentivizing kids for goals. I don't agree with it. A lot of parents do it with like football cards or whatever it might be if you score goals. I don't think it depends on the team, depends on the level. If it's 3v3s and it's those one-on-one duels all the time, maybe slightly different, but ultimately you want them to be a team player, not an individual. And that sets a precedent. But you can't, again, get too involved in other parenting.
No. Yep.
So that is a tricky rope to balance on. The refusing to pass thing can be subjective as well, let's be honest, because when your kid is say a striker and you've got kids on the wing or behind them in midfield or whatever it might be, and you want them to be on the ball, when you're watching a game, you're watching your child, let's be honest. And if they're not getting the ball all the time and they're in space, it can be seen as they're not being passed the ball. But when there's context behind it, they might be in the wrong position. They might look like they're in the right position, but there might be defenders in front of them. So there is a lot behind that. If we take this as face value, then it might be a case of, again, speaking with the coach and seeing how they can handle it. But ultimately, you shouldn't really be getting involved too much in other ways in which people parent, because that's a tricky one to deal with.
Absolutely. And so here's what I'd say on it. I think if you are, and they're each their own, okay, before everyone starts crying, right, and sending me annoying DMs, everyone, each their own, everyone takes their own approach. I think incentivizing goals and wins is the wrong thing to incentivize because you're incentivizing the outcome. What you want to incentivize, reward effort, reward teamwork, reward, I'd say to the kid, you know what, I'll give you £1 this week if you encourage your teammates, or I'll give you £1 this week if you work really hard. That's what I would incentivize. Now, what would I do as the coach? I would put messages in the group, and I think we've done this, where we're talking about what we want to do as a team. So when we felt that players on the team were not passing, we centered training around. So every training drill was centered around passing. We spoke to the boys about it, and then we would put in the WhatsApp groups for the parents to reinforce that message is individual glory we're not interested in. You win as a team, you lose as a team. We don't care who scores. It's not who scores, it's that the team scores. And just basically hammer home that point. Put it in the WhatsApp group is what we did, right? We put what drills we're doing in, the objective of the drills, and just that you have to create the culture of teamwork and passing. And if they still don't do that, at least you've, and by the way, it takes time. It's a kid as well. It takes time. But center training and your messaging, your team talks, what you're saying to the parents, and get everyone to reinforce it.
But also fair play on, first of all, getting promoted into that league. And then, if you did get dropped down and you're more comfortable at your level, there's a lot of teams that they're kind of too good for a league and not good enough for another league. And that is a really tricky position to be in. And that might be a case of, eventually, you don't want to knock anyone's confidence and you don't want to have a team that's completely dominating a league. So you might have to make some adjustments there, whether that's joining a different league or splitting up the team. But I'm sure, again, kids develop at different points. So you might be the best in your league for one season and you might drop away for the season after. Message from Hybrid Dad, a dad who coaches his own team. He said he listened to the Josh Paul episode yesterday and loved it. Found it incredibly valuable and relatable as a grassroots coach and called it gold, which really appreciate and love that episode. And if you haven't listened to it before, make sure you listen to it now.
Last shout out, Simon Pritchard. I'm an under 7 footy coach. He loves Josh. He listened to that podcast. He took a lot from it. Sometimes he thinks our presumptions of kids mask what they might be capable of. That was the clip about, what 6-year-olds, don't expect too much of them. Keep up the fantastic energy you're bringing with the podcast. Great guests, lads. Thank you, Simon. Yes, so I for the life we got Holbridge Whites. Let's have a look, actually. Holbridge Whites. We were meant to play, actually, this weekend, but Canvey couldn't get enough players. Fair enough. So we've got Holbridge Whites. We know John well. Looking forward to that game. And then what else have we got coming up? The next time that you'll hear from us, we have... and then another inter-club derby, Lee Ramblers Whites.
Yeah.
So you looking forward to those two games?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can't wait for them.
I hate missing games.
I know.
We've missed games we've only had one game in 3 weeks, right?
Yeah, and if I'm honest, I'm kind of glad that this game was called off this
Yeah.
weekend because Estelle's done that thing again,
Yeah.
second year running. Happy birthday. I've got you a trip to Dublin. On the Sunday?
That you're paying for.
Yeah, also, yeah, you have to put the bill up. But also, on a Sunday, first thing I said was not even a thank you or any remote excitement, was check the fixtures. I said, we got Canby.
Yeah. Well, Carrie was trying to book a holiday for Easter. I'm like, oh, you're not talking about play over a weekend, are you? Anyway, so just before we go, remember discountfootballkits.com. Go over there. Any purchase you make £100 or over, and use the code IOKFFD at the checkout, get free delivery straight to your door. So discountfootballkits.com, £100 or more spent. Use the code IOKFFD. You will get free delivery. That offer is valid till March 31st, midnight March 31st this year. Definitely go and do it. Link in the show notes with the code. Also, go and subscribe to YouTube, please. At IOKF Football. What is it, Mike?
At IOKF Football.
There you go. You get
IOKF Football?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's getting there.
Is it?
Thanks as always to listening.
I don't think it is.
What do you mean?
Is it?
IOK, it's only kids football.
Yeah.
Yeah, IOKF. No, what the fuck?
No, it wasn't.
IOK football. That's what I said.
No, you didn't. You said IOKF Football.
Did I?
Yeah.
Right, that's us done for another week on the It's Only Kids Football podcast. Now listen, next time your kid doesn't live up to your unrealistic expectations, I need you to have a proper word with yourself, because that sting you're feeling is your ego, not the game. Ask yourself, are you gutted for them, or are you just gutted for you? We started this so they'd fall in love with the game and find a great group of mates, not so you could live out your failed Premier League dreams for a 9-year-old. It's their journey, not your second chance. So don't let your mood be dictated by how a child performs on a Sunday morning. Look, it's fine to feel it. We're all human and we've all been that parent, but it's about how you react. Be the support, not the pressure. We're here to help. This community's got your back, and at the end of the day, it's only kids football. If you enjoyed the podcast, please take 2 seconds to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss future episodes. And if you want to check out our previous episodes, just click here.